All right. Wednesday, April 23rd. We're in the midst of a busy part of the season. Hello, Melanie. Looking forward to this friendly distraction from work. Okay, all right. Hopefully we can do that for you. Kate's going to be joining here in a second, and then Patrick will be joining a couple minutes from now. He's got caught up with something for the Army over in Germany, but he's going to be here soon. Let's see if we can get Kate in here. Let's see.
Anything?
Still can't hear you.
Ugh.
I don't know.
Okay, hold on.
I'm going to put you in the back and let you try to figure that out. Hello, CJ. Thanks for being here. So we got balancing a lot of different schedules today. Kate's got a new job opportunity that she's doing, so she's got kind of a window in the middle of the days. Patrick's obviously still in Europe, navigating kind of a shifting landscape for the Army side, and a couple hours from now, I'll be heading to Spain to do the live stream for Wodland Fest, which is one of the topics of today's show. We also will at some point, I think, have Louisa Marquez coming on after earning a qualifying spot to the CrossFit Games at Copasur this past weekend. And we'll talk to her a little bit about that when she gets in here. If you have not seen, we just put up a little while ago, I guess. We did put some pics up, or I put my pics up, I guess, for Wodland Fest on Instagram. And obviously without Patrick here, I'll have to be running the back end as well to start the show. So let's see. So you can check them out on B.Friendly Fitness Instagram here. It's a huge competition. I wasn't actually paying too much attention to what the challenges were in terms of setting this field, but I knew that maybe a month or two ago it expanded quite a bit, and there's seems like 70-ish athletes in both the men's and women's elite field that are competing. And they're competing for a variety of different things. For some of them, they're trying to make it to the CrossFit Games. For others, they have not put their name in the ring for the CrossFit Games this year, but they are still going to be competing at this one. Should we try Kate again? Think you figured anything out yet?
Can you guys hear me?
No.
In the comments.
I'll let you keep trying in the background. If you think you got something, let me know. So not sure what's going on with her audio. So Wodland Fest will be going on this weekend. Basically, most of you will know this, and I'm sure some people will highlight it somewhere else anyway, because you can hear her. They can hear her, and I can't hear her. Oh man, that's not good. I'm not sure what to do about that, especially without Patrick here, because if I leave, then I don't know what's going to happen. Tough one. Let me see. Let me check my settings. We can hear you both. I think, Kate, you can hear me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just can't hear you, which is kind of strange, really weird. Try something. Say something now.
Can you hear me yet?
No, my goodness. And we will translate in the chat. Okay, I will try to leave. I hope it doesn't end the stream. Kate, they can hear you. I'm going to just try this, because it would be better if they can hear us both and we can hear each other, obviously. So I will try to come back.
Okay.
And hope that it doesn't shut down.
I'm glad you guys can hear me. This happened last time when it was me and PC, and it was something on their end. So let's see what's going on. Reading all of you guys' comments. We'll see once Brian gets back. Anything?
I still can't hear you. I don't know. Patrick's coming in, so maybe that will help something, but pretty...
I'll talk even though Brian can't hear me. For breakfast, somebody asked, I had eggs and sweet potatoes. Not very exciting. Here he
Not
is.
exciting.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, Patrick, I can't hear Kate. Everyone else can hear Kate. She can hear me. They can hear me. I'm not sure what to do.
I can hear you.
I can't hear you either. What the heck?
Okay. Log out, come back in. Log
All right,
out.
I'm gonna let you guys do it. It's clear. If Patrick, if you can hear Kate, then I think problem's obviously
I can
here,
hear
but I'm not sure what it is. So I'll try to figure it out and I'll let you guys
Got it.
go.
Here, let me remove them. What did I miss? You talking about?
Everybody could hear both of us, but he couldn't hear me. So I was just looking at the comments because he tried to get out and then get back in. So I was on live by myself, which was really scary.
Here, let's say comments. Yeah. Well, did you watch the Froning podcast?
I did.
What'd you think?
I loved it.
Really?
What do you mean, really? You sounded surprised.
Well, not surprised.
I thought it was great.
Yeah. Brian, can you hear us?
Yes.
All right. Like Control Delete. Suck on these nuts says, asked me what I thought, but I was asking Kate what she thought, and Kate said she thought it was great. She thought Angela was amazing.
I definitely think those conversations need to happen more like that. I thought it was a really good listen. They talked about really like critical points that everybody else is talking about. It was like a mature conversation. I loved it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can give my perspective. If it wasn't clear from the podcast, or if you haven't listened, Rich and I hadn't talked about anything before going live. He literally walked in, turned on the cameras, and we just started talking. So I wasn't entirely sure what we were going to talk about. There's obviously tons of different topics that we could have talked about. Yesterday, I got an overwhelmingly positive response from people, tons of people sending encouragement. I would say I definitely didn't pick the best word by saying I lost all my friends. I actually feel like really bad about the friends that stuck with me through that, like Patrick and everything else, everyone else. So that was a bad choice of words. That's just how it felt at that time. And I could have represented that better. What?
You consider me your friend?
I consider you probably my best friend.
Oh,
This is
thanks,
cute.
dude. I know.
Well, at least since
gonna-
I mean you're the person that I probably talk to the most frequently, and you know, we've been through a lot. The crazy thing is that you know, I've been through a lot with a lot of those guys that are also now it's really difficult with them, and I've heard from some of them since then, and you know, they're not really happy with me, but they haven't been happy with me for a long time. So Mike, yes, Mike is my friend. Mike, you know, Mike is obviously super tight with a lot of those guys too, and I commend people like that have seen they've maintained a friendship and a professional relationship with me both, where we talk about things, Mike and I do, related to life, related to competition, just like shooting the shit like guys do, and I know he does it with them also, and that's, you know, I think that's pretty cool because from my perspective, it's really unfortunate the way that things have developed with that group and with me. Patrick similarly, like he maintains, you know, relationships with those guys. They just don't agree with me on some stuff, and that's okay. Can't, you know, I think Rich said it best on the show. You know, Rich Froning is perceived by a lot of the people who watch us as being this like God amongst men in our community, and he said himself, I have more enemies than I ever wanted or need. So, you know, sometimes it just goes that way, and it's too bad. Like I've thought about if I like need to do this. Like all of those guys that in that group, like they're all super talented. They all have great things to contribute to the community. I don't think that I've ever suggested that they don't. Then, you know, the main frustration I have is that I think that they're really focused on a small part of the community, and that there's an opportunity to expand the influence that they have and the messages that they have to share. And I think that Patrick and I have done a lot of the work in terms of kind of branching out into different parts of the world. And, you know, they could educate and help inform that group of people that are very loyal to them about some of the things we're doing. It's super simple. Like there's 150 high level athletes. Some of them are the best in their cities, the best in their gyms, the best in their training programs, countries that are competing this weekend in Wodland. And, I think what I was going to say before that problem was that with the audio was there wasn't going to be a live stream for this competition. I'm really spending a lot of time right now preparing for a WFP in Indianapolis, but and people, you guys will probably mostly know, I have a huge heart for the European CrossFit community. I spent a lot of time there the last 2 years. And when I heard that caliber of athletes, like when I look at that roster, I can probably go it's actually interesting. I can probably go about 40 deep on the men's side and actually closer to like 50 deep on the women's side and just rattle off information about them that I know from the traveling and competition coverage that I've done. And I thought it was just going to be a huge missed opportunity to not be able to share their, output of all the hard work that they've done coming to fruition on the competition floor. I'm friends with the guys who are running the competition. And so we made a kind of last minute call to go there and to do the live stream. So I'm leaving there in a couple hours. Patrick's coming down. Do you decide if you're coming Thursday or Friday?
We'll talk later.
Patrick may not be coming.
A lot of things happen today, but I plan on being there. I just don't know on what day and at what capacity. So, but anyways, sorry, Brian, were you done?
No. I mean, I think what I really received yesterday from the people who reached out to me, and obviously, like I saw Andrew's video, and I see all the comments in there, and I can't worry about those people. Like those people have made up their mind about me. What really just like is crazy to me or confuses me is like there's so much awesome stuff going on right now. Like we're in the midst of this really dense competitive season with all these athletes from all over the world doing all this stuff, and they're spending their energy and resources attacking me. And I'm like, not that important. Why don't you talk about Copasur? Why don't you talk about 150 European athletes that are coming to compete this weekend? Or I don't know, anything else other than Brian Friend and Cale Lehman. I mean, give me a break. Like you have this platform, you have this opportunity. You say you're about the community, talk about the community. You say I'm insignificant. Stop talking about me. Talk about the athletes, talk about the competitions. So
yeah. All I really have to say is I thought, my relationship with Rich goes back probably same as yours. I got to know Rich really well. I'm not surprised by any of that. I remember when you called me or told us actually that opportunity, and I'm like, have fun with it. It's been a while since you and Rich actually had sat down and talked. I know in passing you guys have had conversations, but like, yeah, just that community down there is great. And I just thought it was, I knew what Rich was doing. I knew what Scott was doing. They're having fun. They're having fun at your expense, and unfortunately, you're, and this is and you weren't intending this, but you're a polarizing figure, person, and a divisive person, I guess, or
Mr. Divisive. Make sure you get it right.
Yeah, Mr. Divisive. But
here's the thing: is I went down there to do that with Rich, obviously, but at the same time, I got an opportunity to catch up with Coach Dom, to train with Nate Ackerman, to talk to Jorge Fernandez, Luke Parker, Angelo, all the media guys there. The next day I went actually to Mayhem. I met Miley Wade, who I never had a chance to talk to before, and she's going to be competing at WFP. So it was great to talk to her. I talked to Wes Peters, who's recently moved there, and he's going to be on one of their teams. And Wes Peters is a super knowledgeable guy. He really studies the sport and the athletes. He actually left some comments on our Wodland picks. And he was telling me about some of the athletes there, and I saw some of the local guys there. You wouldn't see them competing at a semifinal level, but they're training alongside those guys. I talked to Roman, talked to Bella, talked to Jake, so, you go there and there's such a wealth of personalities and athletes there. So the payoff of the trip is a lot more than just the podcast. And honestly, the best conversation Rich and I had was not on air anyway. So
yeah,
it's just, that's the point. That's part of the thing that Patrick and I have done. We've made it sometimes at a personal inconvenience, our business, to go around the world and spend time with these people, getting to know them, because they're their personalities shine through in sometimes their competitive performances. And for most of them, they're not they're what we see through the competitions is just a really small percentage of who they actually are.
But I think that our space is, even though it's small, like it is big enough for like B.Friendly to have their spot in the space and like doing what you guys are doing, and then they focus on mainly the games athletes, and like Hiller does what he does. Like everybody kind of has their own niche, and like there is space for everybody, and we don't all have to fight about it.
Yeah. PC, let's do this. You can have one comment, and then let's do this.
Okay, I think what it comes down to is like, CrossFitters, especially whether you're a part of the community, whether you're an athlete or a competitive athlete, it comes down to this. Everyone, it's competition. Everyone is competing, and they'll do whatever they can to put themselves ahead. I mean, Hiller, and I've had conversations with Hiller many times. I had a couple with him today. A couple words, but he makes no bones about it that he's it's about content for him. Sevon's the same way. Everyone's the same way. That's ultimately, but we're all getting a slice of that, whether it be only 400 people watching ours opposed to, 10,000 watching another, whether it be a Sevon show or whatever. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, people are getting their information, and I've said this many times. If you're a fan of the sport, and this is no better time to be a fan of the sport, because there's so many options to soak in all this media, and you make this decision. So people have made their decisions, and they will continue. Some will change or whatever. Either way, we're here. We're going to talk about CrossFit. We're going to talk about two events. One that just passed this past weekend, Copasur, and then we're going to move on to one that's coming this weekend. A really big one. The more and more I thought about it and looked at it, I'm like, wow, what a pretty crazy field. So, Brian, were we expecting a guest? Or
yeah, I think let's just start talking about Wodland, and when Louisa comes, we'll bring her in and we'll talk about Copasur.
Yeah. So, we'll do that. Obviously, about over 150 athletes. About 80, roughly 70 or 80 men and women. A huge amount of athletes going to Spain this weekend to compete to get their game spots. So you got over 150 athletes and only 4 game spots. It's crazy if you think about it that way.
I don't think it was always supposed to be that many athletes, but it is. And so there's a tremendous field here. I believe the field of play is like 18 lanes wide. There's 4 heats for men, 4 heats for women. So it's going to be pushing into a big number of athletes. And I mean, look, I'm not going to lie. I can't even keep track of which athletes did the open and which ones didn't. But these are the 4 athletes on the cover page. Dude, you killed this post, by the way, Patrick. I know you have a million things going on. Everything on here looks incredible. But those are the 4 athletes that I ended up picking to finish 1 and 2. And, that's a tremendous group of athletes right there. And you're going to see in a second that there's dozens of athletes behind them that are also, elite, have competed at elite level competitions, the best in their countries type of athletes who are all traveling to Malaga right now, which is the answer to CJ's question. So it's in the south part of Spain, which I've been to Spain a bunch, but I've never been to the south. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah,
it's like south. It's probably about southeast as you can, like the largest city southeast of Spain. It's right there by Gibraltar. I think you can literally see Morocco, across the sea. But Kate, what do you know about Wodland? I mean, it was one I knew it was a semifinal. I just didn't know what the name of it was, but more and more like last couple of weeks when we started doing these game shows and open shows, I started looking ahead. What do you know about Wodland? Just general consensus about it.
I didn't realize how deep the fields were until I started going through who was competing. I was really surprised, especially to see the women's field. I feel like it's nap time. To see the female field, I think is going to be really fun. I was not familiar with this competition until I started digging in, but I think it's going to be probably one of the most exciting ones that we see.
Yeah. So, Brian, we'll just move on and go to the men. Well, let's talk about again, it's about 80 athletes. You ranked. You sent me a spreadsheet. You're like, here's all the athletes. I'm ranking them. I'm like, dude, that's just way too many to put on there. I mean, I guess in retrospect I could, but it's like finding pictures of them and doing it nice. But what we decided is that we're going to at least show the top 40. And so let's start with the bottom 40 of the men. Let's just talk about, yeah. Well,
I'll
Brian,
just do kind of a, go
yeah,
ahead.
Go. No, I would say talk about the process of ranking 80 men, 80 women. What process went into that?
Yeah, I mean, it's there's kind of three groups of athletes. There's, like, to me, I would say top 10 contenders, and out of a field of 80, and that's going to be, maybe 15 to 20 of the athletes. Then there's the athletes that I don't know, the athletes who I've never seen compete or haven't seen compete in a competition like that, and that's probably another 15 to 20. And then there's the middle group, and the middle group of athletes is really difficult to assess because a lot of these athletes, I've seen them compete in similar style competitions, meaning it's not Wodapalooza, Dubai, Rogue, Madrid when that was going on. It's maybe not even a semifinal in their part of the world. In some cases, it is just a semifinal. Like, I've seen their performances at semifinals, and that's the highest level competition they've competed at. But some of these are podium athletes from competitions across the Middle East, South America, Europe, or like what I would call like tier 2, 3 competitions in the United States. But the difficulty is assessing how good a second place finish is at Fittest to the Coast compared to Fall Series Throwdown, compared to Sand Clash, compared to TCB in Brazil, and then trying to like pinpoint with only 6 or 7 scored events. They'll take the 4 6 times or 7 scoring opportunities. Where the strengths and weaknesses of each of those athletes are that allowed them to have that success when there's relatively small sample sizes against similar fields of competition. And probably the hardest thing about a field of 80 is it's just the best example I could think of, but it's a good example to articulate this point that basically the bigger the field is, having one thing go poorly can have a massive effect on the way that things shake out. It's the 2023 Madrid Championships. There were 7 scored events. Jonakowski beat Lazar on 5 of those events, which were all Metcons. Lazar beat him on the run and the lift. Iona made 2 execution errors on the lift that dropped him way down the points on that, and as a result, he lost the competition despite winning more than half the events relative to his closest competitor. The deeper the field is, the more costly one specific mistake can possibly be. So,
well, let's put a bookmark there and bring on a guest.
Oh yeah.
It looks like she's settled in. Oh, she's moving. Okay, I think she's good.
Hello.
Hi, Louisa.
Hi, how are you doing?
That's it. Actually, is great. We're doing great. Super happy that you could make it on here. And actually, it was funny. I just took a trip to Mayhem this past week, and we were talking about it a little bit. And that was the first place that I met you, was when we went to Mayhem 16 months ago or something like that.
That's true.
Do you remember that we were doing snatches together until you were lifting more than me?
Yeah, I remember that. I remember athlete camp was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a super fun week. We've talked about it and referenced it a few times on this show. And you were there, and there was a decent representation from South America there that weekend. Caroline and Tato were there. The guys, Agustin, Piero, Santiago. And I did want to ask you off just kind of out of the gate, Mayhem as a program has taken a big interest in South America, and you've been a part of that. What's it been like for you guys down there, like the collective kind of group of athletes that have been with Mayhem, to have their support over the last couple of years?
It's incredible, because actually Guy opened the doors for us there, and we are like, all of us, we grew together here in Brazil, like competing and meeting each other in competitions. I went with Guy in the CrossFit Games in 2017.
As a teenager.
Yes, as a teenager, and then it's amazing because here in Brazil, in South America, Latin America, we have great athletes, you know, and it's awesome to see how big it's becoming, like the athletes in the like in the games and outside Brazil, you know. So it's awesome always like to compete outside Brazil and make our name, you know. It's pretty cool. And Mayhem is supporting a lot. Like they all Facundo always there in the tour. Also, like he's always messaging. The when I went to Mayhem, they had us like very nicely, and we spent there like I spent there 6 months, and it was like the greatest months of my life, training there and with everyone, with Rich running, with everyone. It was amazing.
And then one other thing before we get to the competition weekend, just can you talk about the passion of the fans and the competition environment in Brazil from the athlete perspective, and also being from Brazil? A lot of people in the United States, they've heard that it's a really fun competition, but I was hoping to get kind of your take on it from being on the floor.
Yes, competing in Brazil is, you know, like this year I had the option of going on Asia semifinals or the Africa one, but I wanted to come to Brazil because and I love the fact that we go to the arena. When we go there, like everybody talks to you and they want to take pictures, and I love this environment, you know. And they talk to you as they know you for a long time, so that's amazing. And also the energy that they bring in the arena when we are there competing is crazy. The first time I saw that was in the 2018 regionals. I was only watching there. I was just like as a spectator. And one of a Brazilian guy, Pablo, I don't know if you know him, Pablo Chalfun, he went to the games in 2018. When he qualified, it was the craziest moment of all times. Like everyone screaming, everyone stood up. And like when I saw that, I said like next year I want to be here. I want to come to a regional in this arena. And a fun fact is that it was in the same arena in Rio. So that made me like create motivation to train harder and want to be in a semifinals in the regionals. So crazy. And this weekend I never felt that energy before. And I was talking to my friends, to my family, and saying that like on Monday and Tuesday I was still like in shock, you know, because of the energy I felt in the last event. So it's the Brazilian crowd is amazing because everybody feels like a family, you know. And when it's a Brazilian winning, they get crazy. They get like they stand up, they start to sing and clap and everything, you know.
Well, let's take a look at this. I'm going to pull this down, put this up, I think, if I can.
Well, are you driving or am I driving?
I want to put the Copasur leaderboard up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can do that.
For the women. And ask Louisa about it a little bit. I know, Louisa, there's some people in the chat that have watched the competition this weekend, and it was the first time that they got to really see some of you guys compete. So we're going to put the leaderboard up there so they can put the kind of names with the faces a little bit. But you know, it was kind of a wide open field for the women this year. Some of the ladies that usually show up weren't in the field. The workouts looked like they were pretty fun, but were you, when you know, like you mentioned, it was 2018 you had that idea, and now 7 years later here we are. So when you were coming into the competition, were you feeling like this might be the opportunity that you've been waiting for?
Yes, actually, yes. Like I trained a lot. Like every year I prepare myself physically a lot. And everybody does that, like most of the athletes, we train a lot, but this year I was trying to focus more on my mental health, you know, like to go to the competition like good with myself, feeling good, feeling confident. So like I could go sleep every day before the competition, and I was like imagining the scene of taking the spot, you know. So I was feeling that energy since before the competition start, and I could feel it like coming, you know. And the workouts were good for me. The most of them were good for me, and I trained a lot, so I was feeling confident.
Yeah, you said most of the workouts were good for you, and we're going to get to a couple of those. But if you're looking at the competition results here, the first workout was not so great, starting out with a middle to bottom finish in 19th place. First of all, if there's anything you want to say about what happened in that workout? But more so, I'm interested in how you deal with that mentally when you get off to a slow start.
So I got used to that. I can say, because every time the first workout there's a lot of running, and I train a lot of running, and I'm improving a lot my running. So but as I said in there was an interview after this workout, and like 2023 I think I got like last in the first event. Then 2024 I got, I think, 23, I don't know, 24th in the first event. And then this year I got 19th. So I got happy about that, you know. I improved my running. So uh, when I finished this workout, I knew it was going to be a very hard workout, because 800-meter running 5 times with thrusters. The thrusters is the one that saves me in this workout, because the last 10 thrusters I could do unbroken. Most of the girls, they didn't do it. So that was the time I passed them a little bit in the last 10 thrusters.
I mean, it's great. It's basically you're focusing on the positives. It might, when you look back at the weekend, it looks like a bad result because you had so many good other results. But you're thinking about all the work that you've put in and the progress that you've been made, so that your bad result is better than it has been in the past.
Yeah, and also, like, before the work, I knew it wasn't a good workout for me. So I just focus on what I can do, and 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 to give my best on that workout, you know. So I was happy because I gave all I got on that workout.
Now,
I love that mentality, though. It's like you did better than previous years, even though it's a 19th place. Like, hey, I usually don't do well, but 19th is good for me. It was a running workout. You have to
Yeah.
work on that, and and then you did it. You were happy with the result, and you moved on to the rest of the competition.
Yeah, exactly.
Louisa, I want to ask you about a couple of the other women on the top of the leaderboard here. I know that Maria Quintero is also part of the Mayhem group, and also Caroline Ferreira. Is there anything you'd like to say about, and I don't actually know Augustina too well, but is there anything you want to say about some of the other women that are up here towards the top of the leaderboard?
Well, Maria, I didn't met her before. I met her in the competition, but she's amazing. I don't speak Spanish, and she didn't speak English, but we could like feel the vibe, each other's vibe, you know. So we were having fun also, and she's an amazing athlete. I got very impressed because I never competed with her before. Carol, she's an old friend. We trained in Mayhem before at Mayhem, so we knew each other, and we were always supporting each other. Also between the workouts, the last workout, she was there beside me. She was holding my hand when the Nachi was saying my name in the to get the ticket. So she was like there cheering for me, and I always cheer for her also. So the Agustina, I didn't know her. Also, a lot of women this year I didn't know before. You know, it was the first time I saw them, but there was pretty good ladies there.
Yeah, it was a super close competition, and actually, if we scroll to the right, we can see that at the end of the competition, you won the final two workouts. And
Yeah.
if you look at the points, it was really close, and Agustina went seventh. So I was curious what your mindset was going into the last day, and how you were able to kind of dig in and win when you needed to.
Well, on Saturday night, I was very upset because I didn't like my result of the mayhem workout, the bar muscle up with bike echo bike. So I was pretty upset, but I just like turned my mindset to like it's just the half of the competition. Tomorrow there's 3 more workouts, and the workouts are good for me. So I need to put my mind back on track, and like be cool and calm. And also like I thought like I just gonna do my best. The results, of course, I want to win. I want to get the ticket to the games, but I need to be there because I like to be there. I love to be there, and because I have passion for that, and I want to give my best. So the last day, I entered all the work mentality, and so for the last workout, especially because in the warm up area, some people were saying that like, you could get the ticket, right? Because I was in fourth place in entering the last event, and I was like, yeah, if I do that, would be cool. But I was just focused on winning that workout, and because that workout I knew it was going to be very, and I like that kind of workout, that sprints and then you rest like ball. So I like that kind of workouts. So I just wanted to enjoy.
Louisa, we got Kate here with us. She's been helping us out recently. I'm going to give her a chance to ask you something if she'd like to.
Okay.
Yeah. I just wanted to talk about Heavy Isabel. I love a heavy barbell. Is that an event that you knew would be in your face? What was that? I'm sorry.
It's because cut it the audio. Sorry, and then I didn't listen what you said. But keep going. I'm catching up.
Did you know that Heavy Isabel was going to be a good event for you also? Were you excited for that?
Yes. This was the workout that I was the most confident workout for me, because before that, I was very calm. I didn't get anxious. The other workouts, I was like anxious, excited, was like a mixed emotions, But for that workout, I was like, I'm just gonna do my thing. It's just drop and catch, and 70 kilo. Uh, it's a weight that I do always. I always do 155, and I tested this workout in the gym, like getting the snatches every 15 seconds, and it was cool. So I was dropping the bar. I was just counting like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and I was just doing it. After, like, I knew that the workout was going to be hard after the 20 snatches. So the last 10 would be hard, but then it's only 10 snatches, and then was amazing. It was pretty cool.
Only 10 snatches left. I love that mentality.
Yeah.
Louisa, it's this was one of the first qualifying events. If I'm not mistaken, you don't even have to do the online semifinal now, right?
No.
So you've kind of got yourself in a pretty good situation compared to most of the people in the world, where you had a goal and you've achieved it early in the qualifying process. What are your plans between now and the games?
So now I'm here in my city, back in Brazil. Now I'm just enjoying my family. There was like 2 years I didn't come back home, so
Wow.
my family. I'm enjoying my little brothers and everyone. And then this week I will be back to the Emirates, where I live and coach. And always like there, we have a very good support of our gym. Our boss, he always like understands the fact that we are training to the games, because we have like Kalian before he went to the games, also Bruno. So we help each other there. So we don't get all the classes. We we help each other with the classes, the times, because we need to train. So I will be back there this next week, and I'll be back on the routine and train a lot. And as you said, it's early on the season, so it's good because I have time to improve my weaknesses, and I will train a lot of running and machines for sure. I'll be doing that.
Well, I mean, like this is amazing. We were talking last week, and Kate had picked you up towards the top. I had you, I think, maybe in third place. We knew that you had the potential, but it's always really, it doesn't matter who you are. You have to show up and do the work on the competition floor, and you did that. So, we wanted to congratulate you on that.
Thank you so
It's a huge accomplishment. I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of people back in the UAE ready to celebrate with you as well. Before we let you go, I did want to just give you an opportunity to talk about, if you can, your perspective on just where, the fitness for the people, for community is at in Brazil right now. I know that you don't live there all the time, but I think it's something that's very real for our sport and our community in general, that there's a lot of uncertainty about different things, and maybe you could just give us some insight about what's going on with fitness at the more like community level in Brazil, if you know anything about it.
Well, Brazil is a country, if you come here, compared, for example, with UAE. I never worked as a coach in Brazil, but I came some few times and gave like general classes, gymnastics classes when I come back to Brazil. And people here are very active. And with the fitness, it's pretty nice to see how Brazilians, they like to support each other when they feel like family, and that's what I bring to my gym where I work in UAE. We bring that because we are all Brazilian coaches there. So we bring this Brazilian vibe to the gym there, and it's Brazilians are always like playing football or running. If you come here, you're gonna see sport. It's part of a life of the Brazilian people, and that's pretty amazing. And that's why also we have a lot of good athletes, not only in CrossFit, all the sports, but also Brazil. It's very hard for athletes to live only as an athlete. We don't have all the support here in Brazil. CrossFit is one of the sports that helps more than like Olympic sports. I feel that because before I was a gymnastic, I did gymnastics for like 8 years. So I also competed like Brazilian competitions, championships, and stuff like that. And I also have friends that it's weightlifting athletes, and CrossFit has a bigger support than some of these sports, But Brazil, it's a family, It's crazy. I don't know how to explain that because it's a huge country, but everywhere you go, if you find a Brazilian, you're gonna be like part of their family, And that's also in the fitness and the sport.
I mean, I have the only time I went to Brazil was in 2014, but just meeting you guys, the Brazilian athletes around the world, I definitely feel that. Every single one of them that I've encountered with, super friendly, super hospitable, generous with their time, fun conversations. So I can confirm, at least from my experience, that that's true.
I feel happy about it.
Well, Louisa, amazing performance this past weekend. It is on YouTube. If you guys didn't get a chance to watch it, I want to go back and watch some of the events. You guys can do that. As she mentioned, there's a ton of great athletes down there, and that's a good opportunity to see some of their names. Some of them may be like Louisa, where they're having their dream come true 5, 6, 7 years from now, but we already have the chance to see them competing. So, Louisa, great job this weekend. Good luck with everything over the summer, and thank you for taking time to spend with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. It's a pleasure to be with you guys. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Bye, Louisa.
Bye.
All right, that was awesome. She's a super kind person, super hard worker, and it's years. We know this. Like sometimes it's years and before it pays off, and not everyone always sticks it out for the entirety of the time that it takes. That dream that she had was 2018, 7 years later to realize it. So pretty cool for her. We have Kate for about 12 more minutes, so I think we're gonna put her on the hot seat here.
No.
Did you make any picks for this weekend coming up?
I have a top 10.
All right. Did you send it to Patrick?
No, he didn't ask for it, so I didn't send it.
Well, I didn't have time to do it, so yeah.
All right. Well, Patrick, let's hear who they are. Kate, give us your top 10 for the men. We'll start with the men.
Gosh. Also, I'm definitely going to butcher people's names, so I'm so sorry ahead of time. But my top 10 for the men, I have Roman winning. This one, I'm like really hoping for the best on this one. I had a really hard time trying to pick who was going to win because I feel like it can be a toss-up. But picked Roman for first. Hopefully that's going to happen. Number 2, I don't know how to say his name. Akai, last name, right?
Annual.
Akai.
Annual.
Jonakowski. Then I have Moritz, Fabig, Callum, Colin, Georgios, Fabian, Anestis, and then Bronislaw.
Okay, so pretty similar to the picks that I have. We did get yesterday, Fabian Benito posted that he will not be competing this year. I didn't know that either at this weekend on his Instagram. And so he was just thanking everyone for all the support and apologizing for not being there because he would have had a ton of support there, being from the southern part of Spain, I believe. But this is the post if you didn't see it. But yeah, I think that looking especially just at the top of the leaderboard, you could certainly see a scenario where at least Roman, Aniol, Jonakowski, just depending on kind of where they're at in their training, how some of the execution goes on some of the, like we were talking about, some of those specific events. There's a couple workouts where small margins could make big differences in the shakeup of how things end up going. But I would say, and Patrick, I'd be curious if you would include Moritz in this group as well, that, those are the 3 or 4 guys that probably stand out against the rest of the field.
Yeah, I would say those are the 4, but I'd throw Colin in there too. Moritz is that guy. You can never underestimate. Brian, we've witnessed it like many a times. Him just like kind of being, just that last event, hitting a home run, bottom 9, 2 outs. He's CrossFit's like clutch hitter. And he's the type of guy who can, if he's within striking distance, and we saw this at Lowlands, back in 2022, or was that 2021? 2022 Lowlands, where he doesn't necessarily, he's his best when he has that pressure. And I think him and Colin, I got to see that firsthand at German Throwdown, him and Colin going back and forth. And, he edged Colin. And I think Colin is on the come up. And I know we haven't really looked at the programming, but I just think those 5 are kind of above and beyond. And I really like what I've seen out of Colin, especially against Moritz, what I saw at the IF3, what I saw at German Throwdown, what I saw in the Open. I think Colin, we've been talking about Colin for probably like 2 years now about that. But I think those are the top 5. And then I would even throw Callum in there, kind of just.
Well, what I was going to say is like, at least on this list here, and Kate's is the same, the top 4 guys, like, they've been at the highest stages and they've competed there. The guys behind them have been really, like, Callum did make it through to the games. Yorgos has made it to the games. Bronislaw has, Michal Wasilewski has, like, but not as recently or not with the same frequency. And I think that next group there, like, that's the group that those top 4 guys, like, they'll have one eye on them at the start of the competition. And they're basically hoping that halfway through they'll have separated, because the longer those guys stay in the mix, the more belief they start to get, especially Patrick, you think about a guy like Anestis, we were talking to him last week and he said, my whole life, I never beat Yorgos. My whole life, I wanted to win the Athens Throwdown. Well, now he did both those things. So
and
what kind of confidence?
Yep.
Exactly.
And
And you look at a guy like Callum, like he had a great showing at semifinals last year, kind of out of the blue, incredible last day, surged up the leaderboard, usurped Colin Bossard, took his qualifying spot away. He had a pretty solid performance at Dubai against a similar caliber of field where, he was inside the top 10, kind of flirting with that top 5. And, what happens if he gets off to a good start? Luis Cuellar, there's nothing, like he was also in the top 10 at Dubai, and he's had not quite the same prestigious results as Callum, but he was basically going blow for blow for him there. What I thought was cool, I was looking at some of the Instagrams of the guys coming in, is like these guys are now starting to create this sort of brotherhood. Like you see Aniola and Ionikowski, friends till Friday. You see Anestis like shouting out Tiago Lucis, and Tiago, his Portuguese brother, shouting him out back. And so, these guys have all competed a lot on the circuit. And I'm not talking about just European semifinals. I'm talking about Bas Chapelqueta, Pixel Showdown, these competitions around Europe and the Mediterranean specifically. And most of them are descending on Malaga this weekend. And I mean, I would say like all the way down to, like we said, Michal Wasilewski in 13th. Like they have some significant accomplishments. And it feels, as good as that top group looks, it does feel like there's a lot to fight for here.
there definitely is. Hey, Brian, let's put a pin on that because we do have Kate here for probably another like 5 minutes. Let's hear her top 10, discuss that, let her go, and then we'll come back to the men and just talk about the field between us. How's that sound?
We will do that. And I haven't seen this confirmed on social media, but I had 2 people send to me today that Sarah Sigma's is not competing this weekend. So if she was in your top 10, she was also in mine. But either way, let's hear the top 10 from the great Kate.
Great Kate. I love it.
So I know ours is a little bit different to start. I do have Lucy Campbell winning this competition. She's been really hot lately, so I'm hoping she pulls through with that. Then I have Karin, Fuliano, Andrea, Linda Kiesman, Jennifer Muir. I had Sarah Sigmundsdottir in, what is that? 7th place. Then Turi, Julia, and then Nicole here.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, that's in a couple of the women that you mentioned there, I didn't even have in the top 20. And Kate, you were talking about it before we started doing the top 10s, that the women's field here is super deep. Even when I got to 40, because that's how many I told Patrick we would put on here, I was like, I have to leave out some names that I don't want to leave out of the top 40. And you've got people in your top 10 that I don't even have in the top 20.
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see. Last week I didn't do as bad as I thought I was going to do. So I don't know. We'll see.
No, well, at Copasur last week, we only did 10. And there was 3 men that didn't start or didn't finish the competition of those 10. So it was a little, but you did have a couple men and a couple women in the top 10 that finished in the top 10. So, those couple names, Turi and Julia, I think are the 2 that you mentioned that I don't have up there. If I was looking to make some bets, and you want to go with Kate's picks over mine, those are the 2 I would go for.
Yeah. I mean, it's not bad. I mean, obviously Turi is someone who we haven't seen much of her recently. She's kind of came up short a couple times, but you just that experience is something is just ridiculous. And Julia, I really like that Julia pick just because she kind of she's a smaller athlete, and I think that's a really cool one. I really like that one. I mean, again, I have to look at the workouts, but like Brian said, this women's field. It's like I know a lot of these women personally, and and know their talent level. A lot of them, if you don't know their name, if you don't know Var Thurman Moe, you're gonna know who she is. Between this and if there's a echo bike workout or some type of machine workout, I mean that's said for any Norwegian or Swedish athlete. But Var is one of the best. If there's a running workout, Var is one of the best. Burgos.
Wait till Veslemoy and Vor get their hands on this clean and jerk complex that's coming up.
Yes, Vesle is gonna. Yeah, now that Vesle,
what Bergeros might do.
Exactly, and we know Vesla, like her first major individual competition was Dubai 2 years ago. She's been doing individual competitions, getting more experience. So, I love to see how she does against someone like Karen Fayova, and Heavy Isabel. And, I'm really excited about this women's field just as much as because of the known factor, whereas the men's field is kind of an unknown factor. Like, yeah, the top two are going to go. And I think we know we have a pretty good idea who the top two might be, or
we saw that with the main though.
Yeah, but we have a pretty good guess who, if it's out a group of 5, on the men and women or 10 or whatever. But like on the men's field, I'm more excited to see where some of these other athletes, where they're going. I mean, yeah, they're not going to win, perhaps, but just see them. Someone like Len Postel, who from Germany, I've seen him go ahead toe to toe with someone like Copasur, and took him to the last event. See how much he's progressed since that, and just some of these other athletes, because there's names in there like Mikkel, who no one knew. Some people still know who Mikkel Wozlowski is, but he competed at the games 3 years ago. There's going to be someone like that is on the cusp. And on the women's field, I mean, if Sarah is not a part of that field, it just, who moves up it. I mean, it's just.
I want to ask Kate this one question before she goes. Sungyoung Choi is listed on the roster. If she shows up there, she's, one of the 2 top women in Asia over the last 2 years, alongside Seher Kaya. Seher has competed around Europe a bit more, and we've seen some of that. She trains there. But do you think that the best person? I mean, I think it's really cool if the best female athlete that actually lives in Asia is traveling to Spain to compete against this roster of some of the best women in Europe. Do you think this is a reasonable expectation for her to be in the top 20? She's been close to the top 20 at the games, so I don't really know how well she can do. What do you think?
She was definitely on my list of people that I was looking at. After I saw the depth of the field for the women, she just didn't make it into my top 10. And I do forget how competitive the European area is as well. Like last year, I remember watching it and it was so exciting and there was so much happening. I just am not sure if we're talking about a top 20. I think she'll be close. If not maybe in the bottom of the top 20 or right outside of it. But I just don't think with the people that we have in the field that, higher than 20 is going to happen.
Well, Kate, thanks for joining us for the period of time that you can today. It's always great to have you on the show.
Guys.
And if you guys are making notes or you need to go back and check for Kate's top 10, they're probably going to do pretty well. She's been killing it with the picks this season.
Yeah, it's that research. And by the way, Kate, next time we have on, we should definitely talk about what you've been doing, helping people out in terms of their fitness journey as well as their nutrition journey. So I think you got some spots left over, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
we can chat next time.
If you don't follow Kate and you're looking for someone to a nutrition coach, slide in her DMs. Be nice, and maybe she's got a couple spots. I think 2 or 3 spots left. So if you're not following Kate, make sure you give her a follow. She's been a part of the show for the last 5 weeks, and it's been great to have her as a part of the team. But we'll let you go, Kate. Kate has to go to work. Has to do some good stuff. Make some healthy people out there. So thanks a lot.
Thanks, guys. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
See you, Kate. All right, let's stay with the women here, Patrick.
Yeah.
Let
me comment on the Choi thing.
Oh yes,
I think
definitely.
I really, obviously, an Asian athlete. I was really surprised, and I'm happy for her to do this. We don't see many Korean athletes. Yeah. We don't see many of those Asia athletes, especially from Korea, kind of go outside their bubble. I mean, we saw it. They did Wadapalooza on a team a couple of years ago, but that just shows. I mean, I think her coaches and she's got the right people around her that are like, hey, let's do this. If we want to be some of the best, let's compete against some of the best. And we don't see enough of that. We don't see enough of the Korean athletes outside of semifinals in the games when they make it. So, bravo on her. I don't know. I mean, this is a hell of a field. I do feel like that 16th is probably, I think she can finish between 12th and 16th. So we'll see what happens. But, I'm really, I applaud her and her team for doing this. And, I'm really interested to see how she does in Heavy Isabel. I think she'll probably be a top 10 athlete in that and some of the other workouts. It'll just be interesting to see how she competes alongside some of these. If she falls, she does her own pace, or she falls into the trap of someone like Lucy Campbell, Lisa Fuliano, who are known to pick up the pace in some of these workouts. So, yeah.
I mentioned before, I think maybe before you got on or right at the start, that there's like different things at stakes for some of these athletes. And I think at least Karen and Elisa are not in contention for the qualifying spots, which means
Correct.
that a lot of the women, I would say down through at least 8th on there, really are coming in here with a lot to fight for, I would say, just based on, previous competition results that they've had that are just sort of lurking just outside. I mean, Emily Lundberg had made the podium at the Madrid Championships 2 years ago. She was one spot out of a games qualification spot last year. We had Ella Wilkinson on the podcast recently, and we've gotten to know her a little bit. She had a great qualifier, so we'll get to see her here and also at the WFP. But I wanted to ask you about Linda Kieschmann. I saw someone in the comments that, really rooting for her. And I think that, see Elisa, Andrea, it's like a little bit, for some reason, it just feels a little bit easier to put those up there. But there's really nothing that we've seen from Linda in the last 12 to 18 months that doesn't suggest that she's pretty close to, if not in the same caliber as those women. Do you think she can podium here? And how well do you think she can do?
Well, again, I mean, we probably should have pulled out the workouts and kind of went over that. It's hard for me to kind of think about that, but I mean,
I sent them to you in the private chat if you want to look at it. Yeah.
Let me go ahead and pull that up here. Let's see. Share this tab instead. I guess Thunder tests.
Yeah, it's on this page on the right side. You have to accept or deny the cookies.
Yeah, I love cookies. So sandbag squats, 800 run. This is a good one for Linda Kieschmann right off the bat. This workout here.
Well, this is a cool workout, actually. If you look, the sponsor is underneath there. So it's the Ayuntamiento de Cordoba, or the basically government of. Yeah, this is a 2 hours away workout that they're doing at a famous location, the Bridge of Cordoba. Pretty excited to be able to experience that. But this workout looks horrible.
Yeah. It does look horrible, but I think this is for someone like Linda Kieschmann. I mean, she's a very good runner. When it comes to sandbag squats, I think someone like, Elisa will do really well in this as well, because she's probably one of the best squatters in this field. Freyova, she'll do really well on this too. The running if this was a machine, she'd probably win it. But I like this workout for Linda Kieschmann. She's Linda, being a taller, kind of more slender athlete. She's very similar in body style to Freyova. Probably just a better runner. I could see her doing well in this one.
You know what else was 2 hours away was the running workout they did in Texas Ranch at the Henniger's Ranch. And I don't really remember anyone thinking that was ridiculous. I think they thought it was pretty cool. One of the coolest things that a competition can do is have the support of a city or a region or a country. And so the city is basically sponsoring this event. It's a historic place that they get to do a workout. And I would probably lean the other way from Sagan and say that this is a cool and unique opportunity for the athletes with a buy-in from the city. And that, that's, and if you're an athlete, I mean, who cares? Show up and do the work.
That's no different than putting a bunch of athletes in an airport, putting them on a plane and sending them out to, middle of nowhere and, middle of nowhere in California to run. Yeah. So,
like they did in the games 2016. That was the first year I went to the games, and I was super disappointed because there was, you thought there was going to be action that day, and there wasn't, but that's the prerogative of the competition organizers. I believe there's one other event in the evening on that day, and they're shuttling that. And they have like a rotating shuttle so that they're not taking everybody at the same time and everyone back at the same time, but they're taking out a group, bringing them back, so that you're not there for too long. Anyway, first workout, second workout, cool workout. I personally am not a huge fan of workouts that end with double unders in big sets, especially when it's for racing reps. It's really difficult to keep track of that. I don't really know the format, but because they have to traverse distance on the floor also, I think it's unlikely that they'll be advancing the jump rope down the floor because they'll need it for that. So a workout like this, I would probably be, from a spectator perspective, potentially, but it's going to be Friday night, Saturday, Sunday, which is pretty much what you'd expect anyway. This happens in competitions actually more often than you'd think. So it's just, fair, but anyway, 2 legless rope climbs, handstand walk, max heavy double unders, support by Velites. Velites is supporting everything this year, Patrick.
Everything. They're on it. They're on it. They're all over the place, which is good. I mean, if you're going to break it, I mean, they hopefully they have the financial backing to do that. If they do, then this is a good way to do it. And they're from Spain. They're based out of Spain, so it's kind of a no-brainer for this. I like Andrea Silver, and the name to also watch is Leah Storen in this one. I know she's right outside your top 20, but these are two probably the best handstand walkers in the world. And I know this isn't a handstand walking, there is handstand walk, but those two athletes are very good at legless. They're both former gymnasts, so the legless rope climbs are going to be nothing. The handstand walk, I could definitely see them possibly going unbroken on all those, or the quick pop up, and then the double unders and the heavy rope. I really don't see an issue with that. So
what I'll really be curious to see, and the elite athletes have a slightly different perspective on this, but I've heard some of them talk about, like, when you're handstand walking, you're kind of gripping the ground a little bit, and so even though it's not the traditional grip that you have, but the max heavy double unders, like, it's really difficult to avoid that taxing the grip as this goes on, even with that minute rest in between. So I'll be curious to see, first of all, especially on the women's side, if there ends up being an accumulation grip fatigue that makes it difficult in the last round or two for maybe the second legless rope climb. And then also if we start to see some just execution errors on the jump rope as the grip gets tired. Anyway,
there was a similar workout. There was a similar workout at Storm Games that had something that was very similar to this. So, but and if I recall, it's very similar. But you're right. There was a couple athletes who their grip did go out because of it. Because of that. So that was actually that's a very astute observation there, Brian.
Let's cruise. Let's see the next workout.
Next workout, we have the Mayhem Up, and that's it's becoming a classic. 30, 24 assault bike, 30 bar muscle up assault bike.
The first thing I noticed here is look who the sponsor is for this workout. Pixel. Yep. Velites and Pixel, those could be viewed as rivals, but instead they're both here supporting the community. Love to see that. Both of them involved. Both of them are people that we know, people that support athletes, sporting competitions. So that's great. And they're two huge companies in Spain that are starting to push internationally as well. A workout that we're starting to see it multiple times over. You heard Louisa talk about it a little bit. And I like this. I mean, I really don't mind having a variety of different competitions that are a little bit different, but having a few touch points that are the same across different parts of the world I think it's fun. So we'll see, basically week 3 of this and how well someone can potentially do. We also have, I think, because Fabian's out, Roman is the only one who's already done this workout.
Yeah. And he maybe what they should do, if Facundo is going to be there, maybe Facundo should tell him there's $3,000 on the line.
Well, it's at a different stage of the competition weekend, right? Like he was unfortunately kind of already out of it for the top 2 spots in Mayhem. This is in the middle of the weekend, and I think the first day will be fine for Roman, but really a good opportunity to pick up big points early in the competition. And you start to think about, like, all the guys at the top of the game should be pretty good, but with this much power output on the bike, like, this is one where Jonakoski needs to make sure that he really capitalizes on the bar muscle ups like Afisa Gaffi did or Colton Mertens did, and make up a little bit of time there so that he can not give away too many spots. Like Colton still had, I think, a top 5 on that. He ended up second on it. So it's not necessarily just a big guy workout or big girl workout. And I think, Jona in particular, relative to the size that he's giving up to guys like Aniol, the weight he might be giving up to Morris, and both that he's giving up to Roman. Like, if he can stay tough on this one, I think he becomes this workout and the lift are going to be the critical ones for Jonakoski.
I think he'll be okay. I mean, we didn't get to see him completely finish the test last year, but I mean, talking to the guys, BKG, the training camp they had, and I believe it was in Spain, wasn't it, that they had the training camp, the lifting 101 training camp? They said that he just looks he looks great, and it's just a matter of just staying healthy. And Yona kind of said the same thing. It's like I gotta deliver when it's possible. I like calling Boss hard on this just because of the 30 bar muscle ups. Because like you said, someone like Colton, Colin is kind of like a version of Colton, maybe not as strong as Colton, but he's a smaller guy that can probably make up some ground on the bar muscle ups by going unbroken on that. Yeah, and on the women's side, I think Freyova, again, this is a good one for Linda Kiesman. I think Andrea Solberg will do very well in this too. She's really good on the assault bike. It's an assault bike, it says assault bike, not echo bike. So that also is a huge difference.
Yeah, that is definitely different. It's not apples to apples for sure. The assault bike, my understanding of this, I remember talking to Philip Yang Fister out of Denmark, strength in 2019 or 20. He's huge, like 6'5" or 6 or something like that, and very, very fit. But they had an assault bike workout there, and he was putting numbers on that thing and clicking off calories faster than I could comprehend. And he said, you can break the assault bike if you can get it past a certain number of RPMs, where it's this exponential counting. So you have the chance to see some guys. Obviously, you guys know Roman, but I'm telling you, there's probably like 10 men in this field that are just super powerful men. Sven Jeans, for example, that just might totally do something. If this is actually an assault bike and they choose to do it, they could just get off that thing so fast that you're going to be like, what just happened? So it is a nuance that I didn't even notice it till you said it. That does make a difference. Yeah.
So that makes a complete difference, I think. And I can see someone like Roman breaking the assault bike. Wisłowski's another good one too. I mean, and then someone like Var, who did really well she's a really good biker herself. I mean, it'll be interesting to see, like, again, it's a comparison, but not a comparison because of the different type of bike. So this will be fun to watch. I look forward to seeing this live in person.
My understanding from what I've seen is there are 4 heats for men, 4 heats for women, but it's 18 lanes per heat. So it's not pretty much normal what we're used to seeing.
Yeah, you're going to be busy. The UMA complex or UMA complex or UMA complex.
Not sure, but sponsored by Ruster, big equipment provider over there. And yeah, I mean, I clean and jerk, hang clean, jerk. Some of the women and men I've seen already practicing it online like they always do. And yeah, we'll probably see something pretty impressive, but you got to be precise on this one. I don't know what the denominations of changings that they'll have available are. I hope in a big field like this that they have small change plates available, but there's a lot that requires a lot of weights if you have 18 lanes lifting at once. So, 1-2 kilos here and there can potentially be at the right points or at specific weights can make sometimes a 10 to 20 position jump potentially. So, big premium on getting this one right.
This is all brawn on the men's side. On the women's side, I mean Freyova. I really like Lundberg and Vesla on this one as well.
Yeah, the Norwegians for sure. Linda as well. I mean, it's another one that looks pretty good for her.
Yeah, I think so too.
This is a great question, and I'm going to find this out when I get there. I don't know yet.
What's that question?
But super relevant question, the scoring table. So if you
What's
have
that?
this many athletes in the field, I think you kind of have to do like open style scoring. They do that a lot in Spain anyway at the competitions we've worked at, which is basically points per place that you finish in. But not entirely sure. Definitely makes a difference. Great question.
Where's Heavy Isabel?
It's not on here for some reason, but it should be the last event.
Okay, so it's 7 workouts. Okay, just checking. Okay, just in case. Test 5 for 4 times 3 rounds, 8 single dumbbell devil press, 10 box step overs, 12 meter dumbbell overhead walking lunges. Yeah, it's pretty. Time cap of 9 minutes.
If I'm not mistaken, this one backs up you do the lift and then you do this one.
Okay.
I think that's how it works. When I look at this workout, to me, this is a great workout for an affiliate, a great workout to do in your gym.
Yeah.
It's not heavy enough for the athletes to slow them down at all with the weight, which means that there's a huge premium on execution, which also puts a lot of pressure on the judge because a judge who's being very particular with a lockout of a light devil's press or a lunge that they're not stepping through and sends an athlete back when another athlete's getting away with a similar nuanced movement pattern can make a difference. You're going to see men and women moving at a blitzkrieg pace on this workout, and the ones that have the perfect movement and or get away with slightly imperfect movement should excel in this.
I'm looking at the taller athletes. Again, Linda Kiesman for the women. I think Roman will do really well in this. Someone like Wisłowski will do really well in this too. The kind of taller athletes who can that are very fit. But yeah, I mean, so far, we started all this talking about Linda Kiesman, and the more and more looking at this, this is looking really good for Linda Kiesman, especially even she doesn't need to win. Or I mean, if Freyova or Juliano beat her, she finish ahead of her, 1 or 2, she still gets a game spot. So the Woodland.
I thought that they announced Heavy Isabel for like every single qualifying event.
It was supposed to be. Yes, I think they had to have that. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Carl.
Yeah, what's up, Carl?
What's up, Carl?
Wodland Chipper. I saw this comment. A lot of shorter workouts. Yeah, it seems like time domain wise, I was trying to think. I mean, there's an interval workout, so that's fixed time, working 2, 4, 6, 9. That previous one's a 9-minute cap. People will finish faster than that. This one's 14 minutes. So this will be maybe the second longest one after the opening one, I think. And not that it's not that skewed compared to what you usually see over a semifinal style weekend. But a chipper here, GHDs, 40, 30 cal row, 20 dumbbell thrusters, 10 strict deficits, handstand push-ups, and then work your way back up. So, little chipper here, Mayhem athlete who I think they did all the programming, sponsoring this. It's 7. I think there's 7 scoring opportunities. I don't know for sure if that 2-parter is 50-50. So it's either 600 or 700 points.
Yeah, those are workouts. Let's go back to the list real quick. And
no, but I mean, you kind of looking at this, you see even on that last one, the strict handstand push-ups and the rest of it's a little bit. This is a kind of a balanced workout. You got the GHGs, the row. I think you can't make up a ton of time on a 30 cal row, but if you're giving up a few seconds on either one of those, you could hopefully make them up on the strict deficit handstand push-ups, either with less break or with faster cycle rate. And same thing with the thrusters. We know that the shorter athletes will have that faster cycle rate on those if they have the fitness to match. So I think this will be a fun one where you see a little bit of back and forth as they work their way through the down and back chipper. Not 7 workouts. No, not too many. I think especially with a big field like this, gives a good opportunity for people to work their way through. How big is the deficit? I think it was listed as plates. I think it was like 2 blues and a green. So it's about 7 inches. And I think it was like 3 or 3.5 for the women.
Yeah. Which is, I mean, you look at this workout, it's like, oh, that's a Mayhem workout. And then but what's cool is like, this shows like the progressive of Mayhem programming. They throw in, you don't think strict deficit handstand push-ups for Mayhem athlete. So I think that's really cool that they put that there in the middle, kind of like that you get to that and then you work yourself down. There might be some athletes, maybe even Freyova or Linda Kiesman that might struggle on the strict deficit handstand push-up. They shouldn't have any problems getting to it, but we'll see.
Sagan has a very good understanding of what 7 inches is and how big it is. And that's, the plates, green, blue, green. I'm approximating for a 3-inch blue plate and a 1-inch green, but it could be less than that. Also, I don't mind if it's a kind of a deep deficit here, because I think you need to have a little bit of the kind of high skill gymnastics factoring in on some of these workouts. So I think it's okay.
Yeah. Let's see, where are we at here? Let's go back to the list here. Talking about the women, there's a top 20. There's an athlete there that we probably should watch out for that no one knows. Who is it?
Maria Granizo, up and comer in Spain. She's competed. If you have watched our coverage of competitions there, you'll have seen her podium at Basque Chapalqueta, competing with Silvia Garcia and Jacqueline Dahlstrom and Anaïs Langry and some of the other Spanish women there. She's young. She's super talented. I mean, I'll make it a point on the live stream to point her out and that people get a chance to see her. With this big of a field and this much going on, it is difficult, but she has the mental fortitude. She's been doing this long enough. She's pretty strong. So I would say if there's a name on this 20 that is least likely to be known and most likely to do well, it's Maria Granizo.
I think the name I'm really like, people probably know who she is, but because we've talked about it, Jennifer Muir. I'm looking forward to see what she does. I mean, we've seen her. She kind of had a breakout 2 years ago, semifinals. Kind of took a little bit of step back last year. Her and Ella have been, they're like best workout buddies. I'm really interested to see what she does this year. I think it gets a feel like this is a really good field for her to kind of test herself, especially with WFP right around the corner after that. Well, online semifinals, then WFP. But that's who I'm kind of looking at. Now,
well, that's a critical thing to point out. We talked about it with Roman last week, and we just mentioned it with Louisa.
Right.
If your goal is to make it to the CrossFit Games and you happen to get a qualifying spot before the online semifinals, that is huge. Like, that is so advantageous to not have to do that, especially if you're competing in Indianapolis at WFP the following week, which many of these women are.
Yeah. And let's look at the other half here. Again, I look at this name, Mariana Meza. We saw what a great thing. I mean, she was impressive at West Coast Classic last year. We brought up Thury earlier, Julia, Taylor Howe, who competed at Rogue, Sapphire is no slouch. I mentioned Leah Storen, Erica Eklund. I mean, Julia Jacobson, someone to keep an eye out on. She's from Germany. She's kind of been knocking on that wall in terms of becoming I mean, there's so many. I mean, Amanda Fasuma. I mean, there's some great athletes here, and that, again, these are just 40 athletes. Camila, Brian, I said a lot of names. Who's the name I hear that can break possibly top 15?
Man, I'm not sure. I think possibly Taylor. We see her there. We've seen her have performances like that before, but also I feel like in this group, if you're talking about top 15 or flirting with top 10, I want to lean kind of towards the veterans. So maybe Thury, that's just has some competition experience.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's just like the thing about this competition is that at every single stage of the competition, each workout, each time you take the floor, there's going to be these moments where you have a decision to make about how bad you want to hurt and where you want to push. And when you're talking about 70 athletes that you're going against, there's going to be relevant times and scores, maybe not for the top 5, but for these people, 10 through 40, 50, whatever, where you could possibly be competing for points against 20 women. And it comes down to how tough you are, how much you want it, how much you're willing to hurt, a clever decision here and there. So it's a huge premium on competition experience and the ability to make the right decision or to tap into the right mental state, when maybe you don't want to in the hardest parts of these Metcons.
Yeah, I just look at this and there's like athletes there I don't know that that I'm looking forward to seeing compete.
Yeah, and I mean, CJ, Mariana Meza, if you guys don't know her, she's a 2-time champion at Wadapalooza in the LATAM Cup. I think she's at this point clearly the fittest woman in Mexico and one of the best in Latin America. But she doesn't get to compete at Copasur. She has to compete in North America, being from Mexico. Lisa Laiko out of Finland. She's been making podiums around kind of that tier 2, 3 competition in Europe. She qualified into the challenger division for WFP as well. So, I mean, she's been competing a lot, and she competed in Spain last year as well, at the same time as Lucy Campbell's first competition back. And this is great. I mean, this is why we're doing this because, like we said earlier, there's probably 50 women in this field that we've done competition coverage of, and trying to provide an opportunity for you guys to get like at least touch points with these names. And some of them will do some really great things this weekend. Others will be middle of the pack, but all of them are constantly grinding and fighting. And that's why it's from Patrick and I, at least, that's why it's cool what's going on this year, where there's more opportunities, more competitive outlets, more chances for people like Sagan to get some familiarity with some new faces potentially.
Let's go back to the men. We covered a lot of the men, top 20, but is there, again, kind of with the women, is there a name there that we should watch out for that someone might not be familiar with?
Well, before that, I did want to see Avera, I do not know the European athletes as well as North America, but who is the gentleman you had on your last show as first guest? That was Anestis Artemis. He was coming off the win at Athens Throwdown. He's been, flirting with podiums at competitions like that for a while, sometimes making second or third, but that was his first big win. He's competed in Dubai, and he's kind of a protege of Yorgos Skervis. That was the first time beating him in competition. I put them right there next to each other, just kind of have some fun with them. I don't even know if they care, but so that's who that was. And as far as your question goes, I'm going to cheat. There's two guys that jump off the page as real. They've competed at similar competitions. They're both still young. They both have the potential to win specific workouts. I don't know if this slate of workouts is perfect for these guys, but Alexander Blosik out of Poland and Carlos Ferreira out of Spain are both guys that can have these really, really big home runs. Carlos more on he's very similar to Colin or to Colton or to Austin, maybe not with the full breadth of what those guys has, but burpee workouts, burpee box jump overs, chest to bar pull-ups, thrusters, cycling barbells and dumbbells. He's really, really good at that kind of stuff. So you have some good workouts in open style programming. And then Alexander Blosik has been coming along with his strength. I think he's maybe like a year or two behind Colin Bossard, but with the high level gymnastic stuff, he's very good. So keep an eye out for him on the Legas rope climbs workout, for example. Yeah, no one's like Colton. Colton's he's a beast, man. I'm excited to see him compete in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I mentioned Len earlier. Like I said, it's probably more recency bias because I've seen him. I'm really excited to see what he does out of Hamburg, and then, of course, you got a couple of the Scandinavians there, Victor Ludwig, and then your boy at 20.
Hey, I was actually, so there's a bunch of Icelandic athletes competing this weekend. I know Sarah's not, but Bergos is, Gucci. I'm not as 100% sure how to say the AE combo, but Aegir, Ingi, and then Haraldur. And I asked them, they were messaging me, giving me a hard time about leaving a couple of them off this list. So I just asked them to give me any insights that you can about where to look for you guys or what your feelings are coming into the weekend. And they mentioned Haraldur, and they're like, I mean, he hasn't competed that much recently, but the guy's super consistent, super solid. He took like 6th or 7th, maybe even 5th at the first strength in depth, and 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 years ago now. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And I don't know. This guy is, to me, he's the biggest wild card in the field. Like, if he's been really working in the shadows, grinding or whatever, and can execute on the weekend, he could be in the top 10, but he also could be outside the top 50. I haven't seen him compete in so long.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I kind of like, Louisa was kind of like my Holgersson, and she made the game. So who knows? So let's go to the other 20. Still some great names here. I mean, someone obviously in the comments, Nicholas Bedon, who's made some waves through the Open and other things. Daniel Tai, Martin Cuervo, Josh Woodhull. Haven't seen that name in a while. Plushkin from the Kalishnikov teams. I mean, who else on here, Brian?
Yeah, Martin Cuervo, another Spanish guy. Oh my gosh, Carl. I'm sorry, man. You're on my list somewhere. Everyone's on the list, but we put 40 here. It was pretty difficult, but you can give me a hard time if you want. If you get in the top 40, I buy you some tapas or something. Anyway, yeah. Josh Woodhull was a surprise to see him even on the competition roster. Like, I don't really remember the last time we've seen him compete. You also have Travis Moore coming over from the U.S. He's a young guy who's he did elite teams at Wadapalooza. He's been trying to get some more competition experience, and I really love that. Like, if you have the opportunity to go travel somewhere else and compete, do it. You got some Spanish guys here. Like I said, I was about to talk about Cuervo. I think he was between 15th and 20th at the European semifinal a couple of years from now, and he hasn't quite rebounded from that and had another competition similar to it. So I'm kind of curious to see what he can do. Nicholas Bedon, who had a great Open. I was looking at because you said there was that comment there, and so I went to see, and I mean, he was 30th at Wadapalooza. I just haven't seen him in enough live competition to, he was 22nd or 3rd the one year he competed in the South America semifinal. So again, a great opportunity for a young up and coming guy. He's coming off a good online season. Let's see what he can do in live competition.
I forgot where you had Carl at, but if you guys don't know,
He should yeah.
you should give Carl a follow. He's they're doing something special in Hamburg between Len, Carl. You're going to see a lot more Germans. Julia Jacobson. We're going to see Verena in not Verena. Shoot, drawing a blank. Carl's teammate on the German team. Vivian. You're going to see Vivian at World Fitness Project in the Challenger division. You know, Germany's kind of on the come up when it comes to CrossFit. I know Mort's kind of like is a kind of, you know, and they're all in Hamburg, but they're just at different gym. But that Wish Fitness there in Hamburg and that crew, their coach, they're doing really good things there. I know very talented athletes in Germany. So shout out to Carl. Make sure you give a follow. Look forward to seeing him and see what he does in an individual competition. I know they're ramping up for the team as well. So it'll be really cool to see.
I mean, on all these events, there's been some team athletes that are now starting to compete more individually. And obviously there's less opportunity to qualify for the games through the team field this year. But I think also there's just kind of the itch from some of them of, you know, I've been doing this team thing for a while. Let me throw my name in the ring and see how good I am when I go take the floor on my own.
Yeah. No, I mean, we're gonna see that in the other semifinal, the other European semifinal. I think they already had like some athletes listed, like Tola, for example. So it'll be pretty cool to kind of see that. I mean, especially those team athletes are allowed to do that. So, you know, but yeah, let's go back to that list and maybe wrap it up.
I was going to do a couple. Yeah, ask whatever you want, and then I want to hit a couple of the comments.
I didn't really have any questions like that. If you want to hit up the comments.
Okay. Let's see here. I feel like one day Bergros is going to take everyone by surprise, start making moves as she get older. PC?
I agree. I mean, you're kind of seeing we haven't seen that next Icelandic athlete come out yet. You know, we're getting to the point now where, you know, Katrin's retired. Annie's, you know, she never announced her retirement. Sarah's still there, but Sarah is like, she's a world traveler now. I hope we're wrong and she does compete at this competition, but because I would really like to see her at the games. You know, Thury, also BKG is, you know, he's on the back nine of his career. Don't tell him I said that. He'll probably know it anyways. You know, and then you brought up Helgerson and then you know, and Bergros. So I think she was impressive watching her as a teen. I think obviously for her to get that caliber, I think she needs to become a better runner, maybe a little bit stronger in some of those machines. I think when it comes to like pure CrossFit, I think she's pretty good at that, and she's pretty strong for her age. So, you know, it's ironic, the sacrilege. That's her comment regarding BKG. So,
yeah. Lucy Campbell is not only going to win Wodland, she's also going to win the games this year. I put her in the power rankings for WFP as second. And like, it took a little bit of heat for it, but I almost picked her to win this. Karen is just so good and has such a storied career in these competitions. I think it's going to be close. And if it is close or Lucy does beat her, it'll only affirm what I think is going on, which is that Lucy is extremely dangerous in the women's field this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, Lucy will be fun to watch. It's great to get a chance to see her again.
Yes, 100%. Yes. I talked to her at Storm Games. Yes. I mean, I talked to her at Fit Fest. Yes. I mean, I think there was an interview I had at Fit Fest where she said that, you know, it was kind of like a tribute to Katrin, but at the same time, it's like, hey, I'm kind of holding it up for the daughters here. And after seeing her open appearance, she did get an invite which I think she accepted for Africa for the Renegade Games. She did win the Asia Open, like, you know, so, but she didn't, you know, because she's considered Asia region. She actually won the Open for Asia, but I think she's just going to basically do the in-person and not the in-person, but the online semifinal, and then probably Renegade, and we'll see what happens. We still don't know what's going on with the last chance qualifier. I'm really interested to see what that happens. There's believe it or not, there hasn't been any leaks about that yet. But maybe it's because they don't know yet. But we'll see. But I think they'll grab like the top 2 finishers from each semifinal. I don't know if it'll be live. I doubt it's a live last chance qualifier. It'd be cool. I forgot who it was that said it, but I think it might have been Spin or somebody. They said, wouldn't that be cool if they got those qualifiers, brought them to the ranch, and that's where they did the last chance qualifier at the ranch. I think that would be kind of cool. But
well, no comment about that really.
Yeah.
This one, ironically fit. I did see this earlier. Wasn't ignoring you. I saw you just popped it up there again. I've already asked Chad about that, so we will get it up there. We will stream at least some of all the events. Will you stream all the heats or just the top heats? Haven't necessarily made a decision on that yet. Currently, I have it slated to start at the beginning of all of them. So I'm planning to do as many of them as I can. Depending on a few different variables as the competition wears on, we'll see. First event, I have to see what it's like when I get there. We're going really early on Friday morning, so I have to do some tests of the Wi-Fi there. It'll obviously be very different variables in play than the rest of them. And I'll see if it makes sense, how much it makes sense to stream of that. Obviously, they're running for a majority of it. I'll try to do some coverage for that one. And then once we're back in the arena, we'll try to do as many heats as we can.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that outdoor one, and you brought up the Copasur. How much of the Copasur did you watch online?
I put on a few of the I didn't watch it live. I put on a few kind of final heats when I was doing some work over the last couple of days.
Yeah, I want to applaud Copasur for kind of leveling up. Bringing in. They had a Portuguese, they had a Spanish, and they had an English team. And then, I was like, the drone shot they used it. Bravo to. I saw it in the comments, but the drone operator for Copasur is MVP. And I know other competitions. I think Sevon and them are planning on using some variation of a drone for the competitions they're covering. But I thought their drone operator kind of set the bar right there. And it was really cool seeing that, especially with an outdoor running event. And, obviously Brian's a one-man team here, and we don't have any drone operators currently. So I think that would have been really cool to kind of have that for this workout, especially with this with the bridge and the Mediterranean there, and having some type of drone coverage of that. But I don't know. We'll see.
Rodri just joined. What's up, Rodri? Sepias, that's Sylvia Garcia. Not happy that I put her that low. She messaged me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And yes, I did hear back from Chad. Event 3 will be scheduled. Don't worry about that.
Yeah. Anything else? Any other? I think that was all the questions regarding Wodland Fest. We could talk another hour about it, but you have a flight to take. I have other things going on myself this evening, but I'm excited to see what you do. I think it's really cool that you're doing that. So yeah. I don't know. Anything else you want to say about Wodland or Copasur?
No, seemed like a great competition. It was great to get a perspective from Louisa today. And yeah, I guess the next time you hear from me, I'll be in Spain.
Yeah, it's kind of we didn't talk too much about the men's side. Obviously, Kalian and was it
Enrique Morera?
Yeah. That's great for Enrique. A team athlete. To kind of go there as an individual. If you get a chance, go on his Instagram. He posts some really cool stuff. And then the 2 women, those might end up being the two of the smaller women at the games field this year. I think Quintero will easily be the smallest athlete in the games field. Louisa is not too far behind, but that's what makes what they did more impressive. Being a smaller athlete with the events that they had, they crushed it. And then Louisa just finishing up with 2 event wins back to back and 2 different things, snatch and then a handstand workout, like dual workout. It was very impressive. Well earned.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see once the full qualifying process shakes out. Obviously, so far we've had, a bunch of kind of shorter athletes qualify, and it's interesting because the trend in the last couple of years has been towards the taller athletes. So, but I think that more or less when you look at it, it's just the fitness that's coming through. So
I do like pool boys comp. It's probably something that probably has like Jason Statham in it. Any Jason Statham movie,
beekeeper.
Beekeeper, or what's the other one that just came out? It's like if there's a Jason Statham movie on the queue, he'll probably end up watching it at some point. So I think he just came out with another one. I forgot what it's called. It's called like the Challengers or something. I don't know.
I used to for the cross Atlantic flights just put on like Lord of the Rings extended editions or Endgame, just these like long movies that I've already seen, because you can kind of wake up and get right into them, and if you fall asleep, you don't feel like you missed anything because you've already seen it.
Yeah. And Rodri is Ryan going to run for event one for Wodland.
Oh my gosh,
it'd be cool if we could have like some type of, I don't know, maybe a golf cart or something. I don't know, but
well, I mean, we'll see.
you gotta go out there first.
I'm hoping I can just post up on the bridge of Cordova and hang out.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Should I bring some of bring a couple GoPros and just have those stationed somewhere? I don't know. Len is gonna crush it. 17 is way too low.
I mean, these are the things I love. I got some messages. So the thing is that you were talking about with the Germans, but really it's that German-speaking region, Belgium, Austria, Germany, kind of the center of Europe. Like they actually know each other super, super well. Jan Arndt Finkenberg reached out this morning, and he was giving me some insights on a few of the athletes from that region, and it's cool to see. Like this is what I love putting these things out here, because you see people saying this person's too high, someone else might say the same person's too low, and you just get this kind of buy-in. I think it helps build the excitement for the event. So that's the intent with that. And I mean, look, this 80 athletes, 40 or 50 of them that we have meaningful competition data on, 7 workouts. There's a lot of variables in play. I think it's going to be super exciting. And I think there's going to be a lot of compelling storylines throughout the weekend. So hopefully I can get some sleep on the plane so that my mind is fresh to do a good job of communicating that.
Barkley must be chomping at the bit right now, seeing this many athletes that he doesn't have that data on, or to add to the data, especially a high-level semifinal. He's probably like excited about it. So
yeah, it was cool. He sent. Obviously, we reached out to Barkley to get some information for this, and he sent all the information in. And even though there were some athletes that I didn't necessarily know, he had data in them, mostly because they've done well on either the Open or the quarterfinals. They're good enough on Open or quarterfinals. And then they may have like one other competition that's popped on our radar over the last few years. So,
yeah. Cool. Well, thanks to everyone. Shout out to HDR CBD. Did you already pack that? Is that packed with you, your HDR?
Maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Obviously, that's a travel must for Brian if he feels like he can get sneaking through customs.
It's never really been a problem.
I know. Just kidding. But HDR CBD, obviously, everything they do it is travel size, so that's a fortunate thing about that. Good thing. So shout out to Dimitri and Carl for that, and shout out to everyone in the chat. If you haven't had a chance, head over to Mayhem, go watch the interview. I like I said, Brian. I mean, I know that's kind of the talk of the CrossFit social media space right now. Good or bad, but I think, if you go into it with an attitude like, hey, I just want to hear what these two guys who are, experts in their crafts, whatever their crafts may be, just sitting there and just waxing poetic and chopping it up. I think if you go in with that type of frame of mind, you'll learn some cool things. So, when you pulling up the Apollo stuff?
Yeah, I never know how to do this when you have something up there.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, you.
I think I got it.
All right, so let me remove. Okay, you got it.
Well, look, I still think this is the best ranking system that there is. It accounts for the most things. So you can see, Roman, Aniol, Yona, Moritz, Callan, Braun, and some of these guys that are climbing up there: Colin, Yorgos, Michel, Luis, Hansen, Ferreira, and you get all the way down to Anestis in '94. Like there's that many guys, 17 guys that are inside the top 100 globally. But I wanted to show you this at the bottom. Like even for these guys, there's 2 people in the field that we don't have competition data on, and his ranking system gets all the way down to 4,600th for this athlete who's in this field.
Yeah.
So That's just to kind of give you a picture. Of course, you have guys like Josh Woodhall. He hasn't done much competition recently, so he's way down here, but can do significantly better than that. And we'll look on the women's side. Very competitive here. Lucy's still climbing up in these rankings. But again, you go down to 100 and you're 17 deep, and you have a top 100 in the world competing. And same thing at the bottom of these. There's one athlete that he doesn't have any competition data for or ranking for. So this is just to show the extent of what that database has become over time.
Yeah. No, it's just, I mean, just keep on. I don't know what his idea is for implementing the WFP season in that, but I mean, between that and you have these, off-season competitions, kind of like Metcon Rush or stuff like that. Those are still data points, and I think there's going to be more of those popping up. So, glad you could catch us live again as well. So, but just really exciting. There's a possibility where we have two athletes at a podium that, they won't get the game's invite, and it might not be this one because looking ahead at the French Throwdown, Karen and Elisa are also registered for that one too. So it could be a possibility that they're just cleaning up on prize money right now, and which isn't out of the realm of possibility for them. They can make some pretty decent money just coming to these 3-day competitions and make just as much money more money than they would have if they went to the games. So but
it's going to be a good weekend. We'll post all the links, but they'll be on the B.Friendly Fitness YouTube channel, and appreciate the support from everyone who's wanted to see these athletes compete, because I think it's going to be a fun one.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks everyone in the chat. Make sure not that Mayhem needs the views, but check it out. I really enjoyed watching that and hearing your perspective and kind of putting stuff out there, and then hearing Rich's perspective and not just Rich's, but also Angelo. Angelo did say some things, despite what people might say, and also Scott and Ben. Big fan of Ben. Ben's one of my favorite people. It was cool that those guys were in there as well. So. Yeah, thanks everyone in the chat. It's Wednesday, it's hump day. Brian's going on the flight over to Europe. I'm hoping to meet him this weekend so we can get some additional coverage on some stuff. Or I just want to watch these athletes just have fun. And then a big football match on Saturday. Hopefully we can be a part of that celebration. And with that being said, forget about the stuff online and just be friendly. Be friendly, our friends.